With Spider-Man No Way Home set to explore the vast potential of the limitless multiverse, Marvel fans have theorized that any number of different previously established heroes and villains could make appearances from different franchises throughout Marvel's long history of films from before the MCU took place. One of these candidates in question actually belongs to the Sony universe of Marvel characters, and this character is of course Tom Hardy's Venom. While Venom hasn't been given quite the same amount of recognition as the previous two live-action Spider-Men or Charlie Cox's Daredevil when it comes to joining the No Way Home cast, his inclusion actually makes the most sense given not only the in-universe events that are unfolding, but also the real-world circumstances surrounding Venom, Spider-Man, and Sony. There has actually been substantial real-world evidence that Venom will be included in No Way Home. So before we delve into why it makes the most logical in-universe and real-life sense to include Tom Hardy's Venom, let's take a brief look at the evidence. The first piece of evidence is that Tom Hardy was recently spotted with a Spider-Man No Way Home production cap. Many fans have taken this to seemingly confirm his appearance in the movie. We also have a leaked report from an insider, Daniel RPK, that states that Venom 3 will not only explore the multiverse, but will also finally present the long-awaited introduction of Venom's conflict with Spider-Man. While we do not as of yet have confirmation that it will be Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the option looks most likely. With that covered, stick with us, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we break down exactly why it makes the most sense for Venom to appear given the canonical explanations within the respective universes, as well as why it makes the most real-world sense. First though, let's dive into the in-universe explanation. Spider-Man No Way Home has seemingly been confirmed to be a multiverse movie, as there is little chance that the Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin that are revealed and semi-revealed in the trailer are not from the multiverse. If these characters are not in fact from the multiverse, then it would be an incredibly massive letdown, and perhaps one of the biggest missteps in Marvel's history. So we will be working under the widely accepted assumption that No Way Home is a multiverse movie. This means that Venom is perhaps the most reasonable choice given that the events of his films are happening concurrently to the MCU, and Venom widely takes place in modern day, with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man having been retired from the big screen for quite some time now. Venom is still not only active, but his franchise is far younger, which means that we could be meeting Venom in the multiverse in real time and not picking up his story many years after we last saw him. This is not to say that we won't see the other two Spider-Men, as it's almost universally accepted that they will at some point be in No Way Home, but they will have space between their last movies and the modern MCU to account for and explain. With the upcoming release of Let There Be Carnage, however, Venom doesn't have this issue, and nothing has to be filled in. We are already caught up on Venom's story. The idea of bringing Venom into the mainline MCU also makes the most financial sense for both Marvel as well as Sony, and this could stand to be a highly beneficial deal for each of the two companies. Sony would be benefited by widely expanding their universe of Marvel characters. Venom could receive more recognition and critical acclaim if he makes an appearance in the MCU, and it could help to give Sony's universe the boost that it needs in order to match up to the Marvel Cinematic Universe established by Disney. After all, any partnership that involves a property being featured in the largest film franchise in history is highly lucrative and is very seldom a bad idea for the parent company in question. But it's also important to remember that Marvel would greatly benefit from this idea as well, should Sony and Disney reach an agreement. Sony still, as of now, owns the rights to Spider-Man, and it was a contractual agreement that allowed the MCU to borrow him for Captain America: Civil War in 2016. Marvel and Sony were able to reach a temporary contract that allowed for the webhead's limited appearances. And while we won't delve too heavily into the details of the contract right now, the important note to take away is that Sony still holds control over the Spider-Man character as soon as the present contract ends. There was a hugely controversial falling out between the two companies that almost resulted in Tom Holland's Spider-Man being pulled from the MCU, much to the dismay and outrage of the fan base. Though Disney and Sony were able to eventually reconcile their differences and renegotiate another contract in order to continue Spider-Man's stay in the MCU, this event just goes to show that Sony, at any point, can effectively pull Spider-Man with very limited notice, be it immediately as a result of a contract breach or upon the inevitable expiration of the current agreement. If Marvel allows Sony's characters to join their behemoth of a film franchise, they may be able to garner goodwill and improve their professional working relationship. This immediately not only gives Marvel collateral, but also extends an olive branch of sorts to Sony. If this agreement goes well and both companies are able to benefit immensely, it may inspire Sony to be more lenient when it comes to the MCU's usage of our favorite wall crawler. This could result in any number of different scenarios, one of which being a much less tense negotiating room and a stronger partnership wherein Sony actively wants to keep Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU for a long duration of time. It could also entail more faith in Marvel, as one of the terms could be a less strict oversight of the MCU Spider-Man properties by Sony. Sony has famously overshadowed each of John Watts' Spider-Man productions and have implemented their own terms and conditions, largely steering the MCU Spider-Man franchise two different ways at once. Disney and Watts have their own vision, but Sony has in the past attempted to post stipulations that steer certain aspects of the production their way. If this agreement to allow Venom into the MCU is in fact real and does work out properly, then perhaps Sony might have more trust in Watts and Feige, allowing them to take over Spidey's story entirely while still benefiting from the box office and merchandising profits. Though it's important to mention that as of now, this is all just wishful thinking and nothing has been confirmed as of yet. The long and short of it is that all of the pieces are in place to craft a deal that greatly benefits both companies and their respective universes. And if Feige, Disney, and the executives at Sony are able to get along and play their cards right, then it just may result in a world wherein both Venom appears in the MCU and Spider-Man gets to stick around even longer. And the first look at this deal might be seen as early as December, when Spider-Man No Way Home releases. It's quite possible that they've already come to a conclusion and an agreement on using the Venom and the Spider-Man characters in the MCU, and that's what we're seeing now. I would even venture a guess that this was all a part of the plan for Sony and Disney Marvel, and that it was part of the deal that Disney pitched to Sony after they decided to pull Spider-Man from the MCU the first time, and not allow them to use the character after the release of Far From Home, with us now finally getting a glimpse at the larger details of this massive deal. As of now though, this is just conjecture. We'll have to trust Kevin Feige and the team at Marvel to make the best decisions for the character and to do the best job of keeping Tom Holland's Spider-Man around as long as possible. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this idea? Do you like the idea of Venom appearing in No Way Home? And if so, would you prefer if he joined the MCU or if his universe stayed separate? And what are your thoughts on it being reported that Venom 3 will focus on the multiverse and will be the long-awaited meetup of Spider-Man and Venom? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.